Well, good to have you with us on this explosive morning of news. There's no question about it that we are working and operating in a different sea of facts right now. You know, the president is facing a real crisis in his White House. That's simply an understatement. But this story and everything that has surrounded President Trump and his administration so far has been backed up in reporting by unsubstantiated reports and unnamed sources. That has all changed now because there is a document, there's a memo, and it can be very easily determined that it's going to be a legal document. Now, the question that comes up is that with the nature of this story changing, was there obstruction of justice? The key word here is intent. Why did the president clear the room to talk to Comey about the Flynn investigation? Well, you could come to the conclusion that he did it because he knew exactly what he was doing. He didn't want anybody to know he was having this conversation, and if it ever got out, it was going to be Trump's word against Comey's word, and Trump has always thought he's got the American people on his side and there's nothing to worry about. Keep in mind, this is coming from a billionaire who gets what he wants. Or could Trump be so stupid that he had no idea what he was doing? I don't buy that. I think Trump knew exactly what he was doing. So the question of intent, what was the intent of the president to tell Comey that he was wishing that this investigation on Flynn was going to go away? Now, why did Comey memorialize this? Why did he keep a memo? I think he produced a memo because he wasn't sure if the conversation was recorded. And so there's been a lot of conversations about tapes and who's got what, this, that, and the other. Comey would have never put it in a memo if he thought or knew for a fact that there was a tape. But tapes, of course, can be destroyed. So he did what he thought was the right thing to do, make a memo, talk to some people within the FBI about it. But the question of timing comes out. If Comey thought it was horribly serious and an obstruction of justice and interfering with an FBI investigation, why didn't Comey go directly to some members in Congress who sit on committees that oversee stuff like this, the House Oversight Committee? Why didn't he do that? Why did he wait until he was fired? And what is juxtaposition of that is that Comey gave testimony in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee that the reason why he came out before the election is because he couldn't, fathom holding this information because it was so serious. That was his testimony not long ago. But he withheld this memo until after he was fired. I find that rather interesting. And this will all come out. Basically, where are we as Americans? We're going to sit back and we're going to watch our government institutions work. We're going to find out if our Congress can take off their political glasses, put on their legal goggles, and go to work. We're now in legal territory in a big, big way. We're out of the political arena. And this conversation about a special prosecutor, for what? You get a special prosecutor when you can't get information. There's information coming out like crazy, so why should there be a special prosecutor? These people are elected. Many of them are attorneys. They know the law. They know the Constitution. They've got to follow it, and our government has to work without any special prosecutor. So I think that that's basically the wrong way to go. This is going to test Congress. This is going to test our institutions. And as I've said on this website time and time again, that let the investigations play out. All of this is going to come out. It's going to take time. I said not long ago, talking to a caller on Facebook Live, that this is going to be a long, hot summer. I think you would agree with me now. It's going to be a long, hot summer. And we're going to find out if there was obstruction of justice. Trump knows he's in trouble. How do I know that? He's not on Twitter this morning. It's in his personality to fight back. Since this story broke in the New York Times, Trump's been quiet. Sure, there's been a statement by the White House saying that this wasn't the nature of the conversation. Well, we're going to find out. And I can't believe that this is the only memo. This is the biggest drop in the drip to come out of the faucet. And I think there's going to be a heck of a lot more. We're now in a legal arena that we haven't been in. But the investigation has to play out. We as Americans have to trust our institutions and trust the fact that this is all going to unfold for the good of the country. Trump's going to have to testify, and Comey has to get in front of congressional committees ASAP. These memos, and if there are tapes, they've got to be subpoenaed and uncovered and gone through, and we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, let's talk the politics of this. I predict that if this continues on, that there will be some Republicans eventually who are going to step out and ask the president to resign because the country can't afford to go through this. And that there'll be some conservatives who will step up and say that Mike Pence is very capable, he's competent, he's a straight shooter, and we can live with him as president. But Mr. Trump, we can't live with you anymore. Will you resign? I think that there will be some Republicans that step out in a matter of time and ask the president to resign. I've always thought that the president was going to be able to weather this storm. I doubt that now. And I doubt the fact that the president is going to be able to explain this conversation to Comey, to the country, that he was just affably saying, hey, I wish this would go away. He's the president of the United States. And the FBI director felt compelled enough to put it in a memo and share it with some FBI employees, not all of them, not the investigators, as it's been reported, and I'll believe that report. But we got to get people under oath, got to get people in front of congressional committees, and we got to get to the bottom of this. And I'm pissed at Trump. I'm pissed at him that he wasn't smart enough to figure out that everything in Washington gets out eventually. The truth always comes out. And he had to know that this was going to come out. But he is so emboldened by his financial power and so emboldened by this election and the way it unfolded for him that he probably is numb to that, probably blind to that, probably just thought he could overcome anything. We'll see. Ed Schultz, News and Commentary. See you on the tube tonight.